Good morning, everyone. Happy to have you today for the Canaveral Port Authority Commissioners meeting. I'm going to have you stand, and Commissioner Craig is going to lead us in pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to recognize our ambassadors, so the ones that are here. So if you would stand when I call your name, I'd appreciate it. Robbie Roberts, Sean Conway, Mike Gotra, and Jim Hanley. I didn't see Mac McLeod, so he probably not here. Thank you. We appreciate everything that the ambassadors do for us. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda for today. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Minutes approved. Next item is approval of the minutes of the July 1st, 2026 commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. It's approved. Okay, moving right along. Personal appearances. Keep of Our Beautiful. And Bob, you get to introduce the speakers, presenters.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Busser, I'm Senior Director of Environmental. Been talking with Keep of Our Beautiful about providing this presentation, and I just want to let you know at the September meeting will be their 2027 contract for review and approval. But what we're here to talk about is the partnership that the port has had with KBB for a long time. They're going to be celebrating a major upcoming anniversary, and I'm not going to steal their thunder because they're going to mention that in their presentation, but suffice to say that I was in high school when the organization started. And the port has partnered with KBB for, as far as I can tell, for at least 30 years, and maybe even a little bit longer than that they've been a great partner of ours. KBB is instrumental in keeping our port roads, waterways, and lands litter-free. And this also includes a lot of coordination with other organizations, such as the Space Coast Office of Tourism, through funding provided by their Tourist Development Council for State Road 528, County Commission District 2, Waterway Warriors of Florida, who recently adopted 528 all the way over to almost US 1 from the Florida Department of Transportation. We work very closely with DOT District 5 Operations Center in Cocoa, Sheriff's Department, a new group, Space Coast Water Sweep, has been helping out removing derelict crab traps in the river, and other organizations, countless volunteers, and of course our port staff that's out there every day. But what I wanted to do today is introduce to you Deb Harmon, who was the former KBB acting director and is now moving back into the role of their board chairperson, and Connie Herring, who is their new executive director, who I understand they stole from the zoo, right, Keith? So with that, invite them to come up and give a little overview of what they've been working on and some statistics here about their project. So. Thank you.
Deb and Connie, we're happy to have you with us today and share your information with us.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I am Deb Harmon. I am the board chair for Keep of Our Beautiful.
And I'm Connie Herring, the brand new executive director. I'm excited to start at the beginning of July.
So Connie and I are very pleased to be here today to introduce ourselves and to potentially reacquaint you with KBB and our relationship with Port Canaveral. And our relationship includes working with you to keep Brevard County beautiful and the Indian River Lagoon clean through community-focused environmental stewardship. As Bob mentioned, we have been making Brevard beautiful since 1981. That means this fall in October, we're going to be celebrating our 45th anniversary serving the community. Our organization was born out of what is now the Space Coast Chamber of Commerce, of which I am a past chair, and I see several others of my colleagues in that role here in the room today. So we've been around for a long time. Our mission is to develop, motivate, educate, and activate community partners to reduce litter, recycle, beautify, and sustain the environment for the benefit of all. We do that through litter reduction. That first picture there on the left is an example of a cleanup we do, one of our summer series along the Indian River Lagoon. But most people don't really realize we do a lot of education to try to change attitudes and behaviors by talking to the next generation. And we actually have been providing content on waste reduction, recycling, lagoon-friendly lawns, and community beautification to 4th and 5th graders for decades. And right now we're working with Brevard County Solid Waste Management and other of our partners to create new programs and content for high schools and teens. That is represented in the middle picture there, and the last picture is beautification, which is a growing part of our agenda. I'll switch now to talk about the services that we've done here at Canal Port Authority, and I've been out there with a bucket and a grabber and our crews to really understand when I was in the interim role what we do for you. But basically the pictures that you see here are things that we have taken away from the port and that we take away from the port on a regular basis because we're here 4 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And we appreciate the opportunity we have through your support as a client and a supporter to make a difference in our community and for a direct impact on keeping the port property beautiful and to protect the surrounding waterways. We are active along your highways. Bob mentioned we are also active through funding with the TDC along 528 and in the port. And one of my last official acts as interim executive director was to go out with our crew in the port and see what we picked up to protect the wildlife and the visitor experience here. But by the numbers, what that means is this is about a year's worth of data since the beginning of our contract through the end of July. We've picked up 24 tons of litter along the 528, 130 pounds of microfilament has been recycled from around containers in the port, and we've eradicated 29 tons of invasive species to protect the natural environment here. And we have 2.95 billion reasons to do that and to make a good first impression on both visitors and the residents here who travel this important gateway to the Space Coast. That's obviously economic data from the TDC about impact of visitors in our community. And you can see the before and after pictures here and what things would look like if we didn't do the work that we do. We're proud to do it, and I'm gonna hand it over to Connie, who will talk about the work we do here in a larger context.
Thanks, Deb, and thanks for inviting us today. If you take a look at what the 2025 impacts were, we collected over 415 tons of litter and helped eradicate 18 tons of invasive vegetation. So we are on track to not only meet but exceed those levels this year, which is good news and bad news. There's still litter, but and as we see tourism and activity in the community grow, we are keeping up with that. And it's through partnerships like ours with yours and the many community partners that Bob named earlier that we're able to do this work. Our summer series in 2025, and we just finished for 2026, saw 3 sites in the south, central, and northern portions of the county. We do Trash Bash every year, and we are headed into, on September 19th this year, Intercoastal Cleanup Day. So we'll be out all over the county, including a couple locations out here beachside and at the port, doing some cleanup with the community. We do Battle of the Causeway every year, and as we've mentioned a couple times, the invasive, really we're talking about the pepper removal. So 18.36 tons last year, and we are on, we will exceed that this year. Ways that you can be involved as a community member, and Deb or I, either one, are happy to tell you about any of these things. This is a way you can leave a footprint as an individual or an organization. You can adopt a road. You'll see those adopt a road signs out all over the county and the community. Just give us a call. Adopt a shore or adopt an island. If you're out on the boat and one of these barrier islands, you'll see a KBB sign that says adopt the island. And you can come out and help make sure that those things are kept litter-free and clean, and places that our community can continue to enjoy and we can all continue to be proud of. And with that, we have a big thank you, especially to Bob and Lucas and Alex, who help us make sure that everything that we do runs smoothly and that we're able to accomplish the work we do for you guys. We can't do it without them, and they're tremendous partners, as along with all of the folks that Bob mentioned earlier. So we want to say thank you. You have a slide right here where you can reach either myself or Deb. We'd love to talk to you more about what we do, or help you figure out a way that you can become more involved.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you for everything that you do, everything that Keep Brevard Beautiful does. It's amazing, not only the production that you produce in the tons, but in the number of people. But I can only imagine how many hours all of those people put in to keep the county in great shape. It's really a yeoman's job that you do. And a lot of times I'm sure unsung heroes, because we don't see sometimes people out doing things, but you look at the before and after pictures, and it's sad that the after pictures are all too often. So we do appreciate it, and the entire community appreciates everything that Keep Brevard Beautiful does.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we do appreciate our volunteers. It's a big part of what we do, and it does translate to savings to our community that they are willing to roll up their sleeves and give us a hand.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bob, for working with them as our representative to keep Brevard beautiful. And I know you and your family are very actively involved in it. The next item is the aquarium project update. Keith Winston. Keith, you got the floor, man.
Thank you.
And your help, whoever you
Appreciate
got.
the opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, where there's more than me on the floor today, this is a critical point in our development. We have a lot of our board members and our staff members and our support staff. I just want to raise your hand for a minute, just so the people in the room. We really appreciate this opportunity. We're also showing you some new renderings today that actually are not quite done, but we wanted to bring them to you first. And so what you're looking at images of the aquarium as it will be. So we're really excited about that. I want to thank you all for the thoughtful questions that you all sent to us, and hopefully we've answered them to your satisfaction. If there are additional questions today, we have everybody in the room to answer them. Hopefully we can do that. And also to let you know, there will be a few of us presenting because it's such a critical moment in our development that we're here today in force. So last time I spoke to you was in January. We've made a lot of progress over the last 7 months. I just want to hit on a couple of recent pieces that we think are really important, and that has to do with the financing aspect here. PFM is our financial advisor, as they are the courts. Jeremy Neef is here today, will present in a minute and give you the plan of financing so you can understand how we manage this process. But a couple of recent updates. You know, this is a big project, and as much as we're going to be raising $140 million for it in terms of fundraising, there are additional financing needs that last for years, as you know, every time you build a new terminal. So we have a fairly sophisticated plan. Some of the recent things that have happened with that, we have line of credit proposals. We got great proposals. That's part of the financing. We just received those, and we'll be approving them hopefully next week. We are doing tax-free bonds, and we're through a TEFRA process, and that hearing happened in July. We're moving forward with that. One of the other things we've been working closely with the port and with Craig Langley on is to make sure we have language in place with a federal easement that we've been moving forward. We have very good language in place to protect us in the process. So these are just a couple of the milestones that we've passed since we last spoke to you. I want to talk about the financing process today, and I'm going to have Jeremy come up and explain this slide in some detail. We have more information what we sent you, but I'm going to let Jeremy speak to this. And
Thank you, Keith. Jeremy Heathfield with PFM. Spent a lot of time speaking with Captain Murray and staff about this plan of finance as it's come together over the last couple of years. In one slide, Keith was generous enough to give me one slide. He said to wrap this up. There's a lot of sophisticated parts that go into a $265 million plan of finance, but the big picture is there's a bond issuance that will occur in November. There's a line of credit that will be put in place along with those bond proceeds that come together, along with donation and grants. The line of credit will provide some cash relief as donations come in and as they're received. And you can see here the sources of funds and the uses of funds and how they line up with how we presented it to staff. So, $190 million is the approximate estimate for bond proceeds. $25 million is the line of credit that we're hoping to get approved at the workshop the board has next weekend. Equity contributions to date into the project are probably more than 11.4 at this point. A little bit higher than that with additional cash contributions for pledges that have been received. So the uses are everything from construction, soft costs, and then contingencies. So there's contingencies as well as capitalized interest to cover the interest expense the first few years while the project is underway and being built. And then the debt service reserve fund, which is common for financing such as this. So happy to answer any questions, but this was kind of the big picture overview Keith asked me to provide.
Has the line of credit been approved with, I think Bank of America is going to be issuing the bonds? Is that where the line of credit will be also?
No, great question, sir. Bank of America did provide a proposal for our line of credit RFP, so we bid that out. We're recommending Seacoast Bank to the board next week for approval. We did receive several proposals. Seacoast was the most competitive on a rate standpoint, so we are working through that process to get approved.
The rate is important. That's good. Okay. Any questions? I mean, the report you have is great, responding to many of the questions that were asked, that came up with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We can hug. So I want to take it from here and answer some of the things we heard from all of you. There were some questions about who we are. And we've always been the same group. It's the East Coast Zoological Society of Florida. That's always been the legal organization that we do. We have changed some names along the way. We often go by Brevard Zoo. You're going to notice that we're often going by the Zoological Foundation now. That's a DBA, because that's really the umbrella for who we are. And this is what I wanted to show you, which is we currently actually manage 2 campuses. There's the Brevard Zoo campus that you're all familiar with. There's also a campus where we have our Restore Our Shores. That's the habitat restoration team that's active in the Indian River Lagoon. And that's been there for 4 years. They've been offsite at a separate campus. They just moved into a new, much nicer facility. And essentially the Bowen Aquarium will be a 3rd campus. So wanted to answer that big question. It's one organization, it's one business, different obviously in terms of reporting structure, in terms of our financials, but it all rolls up to one organization. That's critical to both financing and that's critical to coordinating our efforts, right? So we wanted to make sure you understood single organization offering this. Why? Why are we doing all that? Well, the impact we feel is so important. We already heard Keith E.D. talk this morning about the Indian River Lagoon and the importance of that. That's a critical piece of what we do, right? Here is actually the most recent sort of rendering of the plan of the aquarium. You've seen earlier versions. This is what it's going to look like upon open, right? These are all the pieces that are in here, right? This is actually, we can get you, these renderings, we're still working on some minor details, but this is it. Why are we doing it? Our feet are already wet. People I've often asked, it's a zoo, doing an aquarium, or those different things. They are not. We are part of one community, the AZA, and have been for years. We've been accredited for years. A number of us serve on different committees. We do accreditations. We've been doing marine work here for 20 years. And actually, it struck me as I was talking to someone from Australia this morning. Monterey Bay Aquarium, probably the most respected aquarium in the United States, if not the world. Julie Packard founded it. You know, she came from the Packard family. For the first time, they just hired a new director. It was a zoo director that they hired to fill that role, right? We're really one of the same. And we're already the leaders in sea turtle conservation and many other marine issues. So this is very much why we do it. Our impact, you've seen this, I think, before, the different numbers. There's a great economic impact, there's great jobs, number of visitors here that we'll be working with. 100% of the stories that we're telling are local, right? And will become one of the biggest sources of funding for Indian River Lagoon conservation, despite the pieces we go back. And one of the things we're really cognizant of is traffic in the port. So the beauty of an aquarium is we can control things with time tickets, with different dynamic pricing, to make sure that our traffic patterns don't line up with your traffic patterns, and we're not adding to the challenges you already face. And already we're making a difference. If you look at the report that we currently have from the National Estuary Program, we're one of 4 infrastructure sites that they've already listed because of everything we have out there. For example, we have 2 active seagrass nurseries at 2 different sites up and down the Indian River Lagoon. We've formed a consortium with Florida Tech, which is for this, which is already starting to look at some funding, and we helped stand up this aquascience program at Cocoa Beach. So it's in our blood or in our feet to do this work. It's very natural to us. We have team members who have had years of experience in aquariums, and I'm just looking to the questions you all asked and make sure we have that. We want to talk about what's next for us, but I just wanted to stop and see if there were any questions about what we presented today. So I'm going to have Milo Zonka, our board chair, talk about what's really needed to complete the process and what we're asking of you today.
And before I get to the ask, I do want to take a step back, because I think part of the challenge we've had in all the years as we've been getting ready for this moment, I think some of the questions have come from you all, and from your staff, and from the community of, are we ready for this? And so one of the questions that came from you all was, how is your succession planning? How do you do that? So the org chart doesn't really touch on that. I just want to take a moment. A few years ago, I went and took a tour of a data center. And as the 2 guys were giving me a tour, they're talking about, hey, you know, this is why we're reliable. We've got multiple forms of fuel sources. We can bring in fuel from 3 different pipelines. We've got tanks, we've got solar, we've got all the stuff. You know, we can get data in and out. We've got 7 different data providers. We've N+1. I kept hearing N+1. We are ready for failure. We are ready for expansion, whatever that case may be. It's just one of those things that's resonated with me. Even actually, when I was on that tour, I was being given a tour by 2 guys. So I said, so even if one of you has a heart attack right now, we're finishing this tour, right? That's why there are 2 of you here. And they said, that's pretty funny. We're going to use that. So, so that's where we are now. So we have been taking the challenge from the board's perspective. And I know we talked about a little of this in January. You know, we've broadened our base of our skill sets on the board. And we have built an amazing team. I mean, when we look at the team, the organization that we have today, can we handle a second campus? Can we have people spread across, you know, these distances? Are we ready from a financial ruggedness? Are we ready from an operational? You know, Anthony Rivera, who's here, is our Chief Operating Officer. First time the organization has had a COO. You know, Anthony brings 29 years of experience with aquariums. It's also his birthday, by the way. So there you go. Happy birthday, Anthony. But that's just one of so many really critical hires. I mean, the depth of our team has gone from being measured in the hundreds of years of experience, we're into the thousands. I mean, it's really remarkable. And so, yeah, I'm dating Keith a little bit. And we're excited about Connie, but Connie's a great example of, you know, we have a team, and we continue to move. We're so pleased and excited with the challenge that she's taken on. We didn't miss a beat, and it's not because Connie's not great, but because we have built a great team, so we keep going. So I really want to emphasize that, because I think that was probably the biggest kind of heartbeat question of, are we ready for this? So we're doing the hard work. We're working through site plan now with Bill and his team. We're doing all those key kind of foundational efforts. But we really are looking forward to getting through site plan. Site plan is a big moment that I think that solidifies the overall layout. We're all in agreement on that. But then we get into, I knew we have an outstanding question, which I think is resolved on the redundancy of the project plan review. I think between we and staff, we're all in agreement that we're moving directly into building permits after this. I just want to put that out there. But then we are ready to go and finish the leasing process. I know we've had some legal discussions back and forth. but we're really looking forward to having a lease in September on your agenda. Assuming that we can get into it in a way that everybody's comfortable. So those are the goals. Those are the immediate things. We're cruising towards groundbreaking. Oh, there we go. Groundbreaking in December. We have just started to engage the public on fresh awareness about the aquarium, and just as we were tying in with Shark Week, as one of the key attractions will be the bull shark, and just in those initial engagements, we've got 1,000 people have signed, hey, I'm a supporter. Thousands of others have been interacted with and engaged through social media. We know that the public is looking forward to this project. They are really looking forward to seeing it. We are intimately linking it with Port Canaveral and being part of the experience that's here. So I think it's truly a win-win for all of us. And presuming that we can get through and get into a lease approval, we expect to see, we've already had a GMP at first. We're revising that now. Our team, PCL and AOA, which is a remarkable build team, we should have within 3 weeks or so a revised GMP, and we're ready to get going. So, with all that, I think that wraps up where we were here to talk about today. So whatever questions you all have for us, and happy to hear it.
Well, I would say, Keith, thank you and your team for being able to bring us up to date. The information that you provided us in response to some questions that were raised has given us some great insight of where you are, where you're going. And it's good that you've got a great team that you put together, because we all know that you're only as good as the team you put together, and a successful team will make you successful. And we look forward to continue to work with you to add to that successfulness.
Thank you.
And any questions?
Well, it was just because I appreciate it again, because I think there were several questions in here that I had raised, and I appreciate all the information. I'm still doing all the links that you sent were amazing. I'll admit it, I haven't made it through everything.
Oh, we send you so much. We apologize
yeah.
up front for
Yeah,
that.
but be prepared. You'll get some more questions from me. The lease is my one thing you mentioned, and it sounds a little bit aggressive maybe for September, because I'm guessing, I haven't seen it, but it's going to be fairly complex. So I guess I was just kind of, just for realism, I mean, is that realistic? I'm looking at kind of staff to say that quickly a lease. And I know that everyone's working as hard as they can, so no one's it's just a matter of, it feels like that's really
There is a
key
lease. I mean,
complexity.
just to let you know, there is a lease that was attached to the development agreement. It needs to be modified in order to make sure the bonding goes through. And our lawyer sent that to Craig a few weeks ago. And then, of course, we have the overpass and the new issues that arise with that, and how that gets handled. But the lease is there. The lease was, approved in theory back in '21. It does need to be modified.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking, because it's been a long time and there's probably a lot of changes that have to be approved. And so, just from a realism perspective, it might not be.
We're hoping,
easy.
it's pretty critical to us that we
Understand.
can move
Understand.
forward. And we're ready to do anything that we can do to facilitate that process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Keith Milo. To me, it's a undertaking I would classify it as moderate risk. I don't question your heart or experience at all. The one thing that pops out to me, and if I ran the numbers correctly, to break even, a true break even, you'd need about 1,000 to 1,300 visitors a day, right? But you feel pretty confident about that? I know you've had a lot of success at the zoo.
Yeah.
But this is a different environment, different,
Yeah, it's a much more positive environment.
Okay.
We feel like the numbers are exceptionally conservative, because aquariums outdraw zoos because there's so many fewer of them. If you think about the east coast of Florida, there's a number of zoos. Jacksonville, West Palm, ourselves, Central Florida, no aquariums. And so we actually have built what we feel is a pretty conservative business model for that reason. And they're a little more weather independent than zoos are. And so, we feel very conservative, because obviously, one of the things we talk about, the zoo is one of the top rated zoos in the country, because we always have been innovators and taken some risks. But this is a risk we're very comfortable with, because it fits our model and the economies of scale. We're able to operate an aquarium. Right now, 2 other zoos are standing up aquariums that we know of. There's probably more because of the economies of scale. And their cost estimates are coming in for twice what our cost estimates are.
at it. So, yeah, we would not risk this if we didn't feel really confident about our ability to manage it, and the numbers are really strong. And we're actually projecting less than the zoo, and that's an amazing number considering our growth every year. So, yeah, we feel very good about it. It's a great question.
And for what it's worth, we also engaged a firm, and Keith will tell you that, early on, he put a number down on like a back of the napkin number of what he thought the attendance could be based on his experiences, and vetted that number out. But, as we started getting into bond financing, we had to go engage, a company that does this, and that this is their expertise. They look at the market, they look at the available income, they look at the comings and goings, and they put down, their number.
583.
With 583, that's the number, and so that number also includes a range of conservatism about across a number of things about what pricing is available to us. How much of I'm folks from Orange County, folks from Volusia, what kind of outside markets will come in. They looked at all those and they built conservatism into those. So, and for incidentally, Bank of America had to approve that firm. So this is really for the benefit of the bondholders. So my best argument to you on the risk question would be, if the people are willing to write us, $200 million worth of notes to this, they're the ones who are taking the risk. But we are managing that with them. And that's the whole point of all this. This has been a hugely collaborative conversation. I think there's daily interactions going on between PFM, us, B of A. B of A is talking to potential bond buyers already. I mean, all of these discussions, they are very dynamic and they're deep.
And I want to add one point. Captain Murray and I have discussed this. There's nothing special built in for the cruise audience into this number. Because of the uncertainties, obviously there's port of call, there's embark, debark. Nothing special was factored in. It was the same factors we'd have at the zoo. So for that reason, we also think it's conservative, because undoubtedly, you have all these people staying in hotels, getting in vans, coming. This is an opportunity for them to spread out your traffic pattern and to spend more time. And none of that's been factored in at this point. So that's one of the other reasons we feel we've done this on the safe side, to make sure it's very realistic.
To give you just a quick metric, I think with Tampa Aquarium, which I think has been kind of the off, compared, to this project, when their initial estimates were they were going to bring in 1 million people. 1.5, and they brought in a fraction of that. So they didn't build the right set of assumptions, for what they thought. Again, that was a learning point that was in our projections. So I mean, all of those things, even that experience leads to help us with ours. It makes us smarter. So we've not gone down that path.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
And they're at 1 million now, so they got there. It took a few years, but that was very different. We're not amateurs. We know this market very, very well.
So is it possible to get it together? Is it a lease modification or is it a new lease?
What we have in the development agreement that you all approved back in 2021 is a lease document that, as Keith said, there's going to be some modifications to that document. I don't know the specifics of everything that's in there, and there'll be some modifications from both sides. The big question is if the modifications are merely modifications or if it drives a whole new lease. And I'm not an attorney, so I can't tell you how that would work. But the idea, the concept is that we try to do it as a modification, that it doesn't have to come back to the board for a whole new lease, just a lease modification.
So make sure you get us what we need to make that modification, and I'd like to see it on the next month's agenda if it's possible.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the information
Let us know what else you need. I think this project is very important to the community. It's been in the works for years, and I know the level of complexity that's gone into it and dedication that's gone into it. So I've got a couple more months that I'd love to vote on the lease again. So let us know what you need, and then I think the commissioners will push staff to make sure that we get this thing started. So thank you.
Thank you. And the staff has been remarkable. I can't say enough about it. We've had very open dialogue. I mean, Captain Murray, the legal team, Bill, all the dialogue has just been wonderful, and it's open and above board. We all know where we all know where we stand, and so the information's exchanged. We're going to do the back and forth and get there.
Thank you. And just to clarify, we'll work, our attorneys will work with your attorneys to hopefully keep this a modification, which I heard means it doesn't have to come back to you. And if it needs to come back to you, we'll get quickly, because we want to see it done. We want you there at the ribbon cutting for the groundbreaking, so while you're still here. So
What do you guys see as the biggest risk? Like, what keeps you up at night when you think about how to make this project successful, even in the near term and the long term?
Getting the lease done in September.
Is that?
Honestly,
No, I know, I'm
because
asking for that.
so any further delays, they could change the pricing. I mean, we've already gone through one pricing exercise, so, and the build team has been magnificent in working with us to continue to extend. We're getting great feedback from the bond desks. We're getting great feedback from B of A. I mean, all of those pieces are in place. I think the kind of the open question back and forth is, if the lease is the driver to all those next steps. So yeah, if you're asking what makes me lay awake at night, that's it. I mean, everything else. I mean, I put a lot of credit in the analysts that are driving the reviews of our finances now from the bondholder side. That doesn't worry me. This worries me to get this moved along. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you
the
very
time.
much.
Thank you.
Good presentation, Keith.
Thanks so much.
The whole team. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the first hearing on the proposed fiscal year 27 operating budget, capital budget, and cash flow. Jeff Long.
Thanks, Troy.
Now we're going to talk money.
All righty. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Beislan and Captain Murray. I'm very pleased to present our proposed fiscal year 27 operating budget to you this morning. Now, as a quick reminder, fiscal year 27 starts in just a few weeks, October 1st, and runs through September 30th of next year. So one reason I'm excited to review the budget with you is the fact that it demonstrates a growing impact of Port Canaveral's economic impact and economic engine to our region and our state. Every cruise ship, cargo vessel, and visitor that comes through the port helps to create jobs, supports local businesses, and generates opportunities throughout the city of Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa, Merritt Island, Brevard County, and across the state of Florida. So our positive numbers that I'm going to go over with you in just a couple of minutes, it's not only a win for Port Canaveral, it's a win for the communities and families that benefit from the economic activity that we create here at the port every single day. So before I get into the detailed slides, I want to give a brief update on some of the assumptions, investments, and financial principles that are contained in our budget. Our fiscal year 27 budget, the cornerstone of it, is our cruise schedule for next year, which drives passenger and parking revenues for us, reflecting continued commitment from our cruise line partners to Port Canaveral. The schedule for next year includes additional deployments, larger vessels, and new ships coming to Port Canaveral. Notably, all of our cruise line partners are increasing calls from this year to next year, underscoring the strategic importance that Port Canaveral plays within the entire cruise industry. So our cruise revenue projections are based on a lot of hard work by staff, and it's based mainly on a sophisticated forecasting model that combines historical financial performance, passenger and parking performance, along with more of an emphasis on current passenger and parking trends. So this enables us to, have a very good and tight budget from a cruise revenue and passenger and parking perspective. From a cargo perspective, our revenue and tonnage projections are based on very thorough market analysis, along with ongoing dialogue and collaboration with our cargo partners. This ensures our cargo forecasts how the latest, most recent market conditions and customer demand. In addition to cruise and cargo revenue, our other revenues are projected and forecasted based on input from Port Canaveral department heads, taking into account existing contractual commitments and also an overall assessment of market and industry trends. As you'll see with the fiscal year 27 proposed operating budget, our operating expenses continue strategically investing in key areas. Our people, facilities, and operational resources needed to support a growing port. These investments are necessary for us to continue delivering exceptional service, accommodate future growth, and maintain the financial success that we have experienced over the last several years. Now, the positive numbers that I'm about to go over with you, they don't happen by accident. They are the product of the strategic decisions and investments that you have made into our cruise terminals, our parking facilities, our cargo infrastructure, roadway improvements, technology, and other critical port assets. Because of the decisions you have made, we have been able to expand our capacities, enhance our operational capabilities, and enable us to continue operating from a position of strength. We believe our proposed budget is bold and disciplined. It builds on the last several years of our financial success while maintaining prudent financial management that is so critically important for us to sustain long-term financial success for years to come. So with that backdrop, I will get into our detailed slides. I'm going to set up a roadmap for what we'll be going over. The first item will be comparing our fiscal year 26 adopted budget to next year's proposed budget. I will provide a roll forward from 26 to 27 for operating revenues. In other words, I will explain the large increases in operating revenue for you. I will do the same with operating expenses. I will explain the difference between fiscal year 26 and our proposed budget 27 for operating expenses. Then, including non-operating revenues and expenses, I'll provide a budget summary. Then I will spend a couple of minutes reviewing our cruise and cargo statistics. Then I will discuss our capital projects, not only for fiscal year 27, but all of the next 5 years, a 5-year look at capital through fiscal year 31, which is over $1 billion. I will then provide an update on a Fitch rating, some good news there, along with explaining our debt structure and how much debt we have and what our plan is for that. And then finally, I'll briefly talk about very minor modifications to our tariff in our foreign trade zone. So first off, operating revenues this year, 237 adopted budget, increasing by nearly 20% up to $282 million next year. And remember, next fiscal year starts in a few weeks, so we are there. Operating expenses also increase. You can see the increase from 159 up to 186 million, so an increase of about 17%, $27 million there. The result is operating income improves from 78 million up to 95 million, an increase of 22% or 17 million. Now, very important is keeping strong margins. What are margins? It tells you how you are managing your revenue and how you are maintaining your expenses. The calculation is taking the operating income divided by operating revenue, and it's very important as you maintain and manage your financial prudency. You can see that we're improving on our margins, almost up by 1%, 33% this year, up to nearly 34% next year. It's very important. That means every dollar that we bring into the port, 34 cents can be reinvested into the port. Let's take a closer look at our revenue and the changes impacting that 19% increase. $237 million, the largest increase, cruise revenue up $44 million. We are projecting, based on the cruise schedule, again, the confidence and commitment by our cruise line partners, passengers to increase next year by 21% from 9 million passenger movements. This is getting on a ship and off a ship. Each of those is a movement, up to 10.9 million. That represents a $26 million revenue increase. Parking is up as well, 17 million. Increase in passengers, and also the great job that Clyde Mathis, our VP of Cruise Operations, is doing, utilizing the parking assets and facilities that you invested in, and we are taking advantage of that. Additional increases in revenue, marina. As you know, we moved forward a lease that was ending in December to July 1st, so just a few weeks ago. Because of that, we capture all the revenue, we capture all the operating expenses for that. So you'll see that on the revenue side and on the expense side. Next year, we've got $3.4 million of marina revenue. Cargo revenue is actually down. Again, collaboration with our cargo partners, looking at market trends. Cargo is down mainly due to a softening in lumber, also decreased space usage at our port, and a very slight decrease in petroleum. Again, these are amounts, these are forecasts that we work with our cargo partners to derive. Other revenues, which make up a lot of different things here at the port, from leases to ground transportation to jetty park, is slightly down, mainly because we're taking some of our RV sites offline to upgrade them and invest in them, and we're going to be losing the revenue during that. But in the long run, that's going to be a great financial move for us. So that rounds out the 19% increase, $44.4 million increase to $282 million. Taking a closer look at our operating revenues and the percent, you can see that cruise, so cruise wharfage, dockage, the passenger movements represents about 54% of our operating income, followed by cruise parking. We capture 100% of that revenue, unlike some of our peer ports that split that with the cruise lines. We capture all of those. We've invested in those parking facilities. And you can see that that's paying off 28%. CCRC, capital cost recovery charge, also cruise related, makes up another 5%. So all our cruise revenue is about 87% of our operating revenues. Cargo, very important, very strategic for us. We play a critical role in Central Florida's supply chain, and will continue to do so with the petroleum, lumber, aggregates, all the key components that rely on the port, represents about 8% of our operating revenue. And then other revenue, which I'll get into in just a moment, over a variety of different categories. You can see the cruise breakdown that I've already gone over. Cargo consists of cargo fees, the dockage, wharfage, plus the rent we receive from our cargo partners. Other revenues, leases for restaurants, other businesses that operate here at the port, park services, jetty park, marina mentioned, miscellaneous $3.4 million, which is mainly ground transportation. And this is a further breakout. We've got about 60 tenants that pay us with rent, of course. You can see the recreation breakdown between jetty park, camping, the recreational, just beach parking, other store revenue. You can see the marina breakdown. About 2/3 is boat storage revenue, and about 1/3 represents fuel sales, retail sales, and miscellaneous. You can see the breakdown there, mainly commercial vehicle fees. Now let's take a quick look at our operating expenses. In fiscal year 26, I proposed our final adopted budget, $159 million. Again, investments in people. Our largest non-cash increase is in salaries and benefits, nearly $6 million year over year. The main driver of this is adding 14 new positions next year, so that will bring our total headcount up to 343. It doesn't mean that we always have 343 team members. Many times we have 10, 14, 15 open spots at any time, open positions. Also included in the increase is cost of living adjustments and increases to health insurance. Depreciation and amortization is our largest increase. Of course, it's a non-cash expense, but it is part of our operating expense. The fact that we are investing in capital across the port, you can see it with all the cranes, all the construction, those assets, because we're building up that. Obviously, the depreciation is higher going from year to year. Other operating expenses are up about $11.5 million due to various items. I mentioned the needed investments in facilities for a growing port. The marina is new, so about 30% of that increase of other operating expenses is just related to the marina that we're bringing on. Public safety, of course, with BCSO is a big part of what we do and what we have to provide, and that is part of a function of increased passengers that we're bringing in. Other operations, other expenses up $1.1 million. Now, what this doesn't show are all the categories where we have worked super hard to maintain and in some cases even decrease our expenses. And even in these increases, we have looked at them, we've done everything we can. It's what we need to do to support a growing port. But one example, for example, is our insurance, property insurance, liability insurance. That is a $5 million expense for us here at the port. And we are adding significant amounts of buildings, structures, assets that need to be insured. And even with us adding significant total insurable value, our expense is actually a little down because of the great work that Shannon Feely does. She's our Director of Risk Management and Safety as well. Just the way we work the contracts with the construction companies, the way we provide emergency guidelines, it gets the insurance companies very comfortable with us. The safety records, the low claims that we have, all that goes into driving our expense down. It doesn't pop off this screen because it wasn't a change. But that is one example of us closely maintaining and containing our expenses. The result is operating expense budget, $186 million, 17% increase year over year. You can see some of the big line items. Depreciation and amortization is our biggest expense item, $67 million, representing over a third, followed by facilities, operations, and public safety. From a cash operating expense perspective, our largest expense are our people, as it should be. 41% goes into salaries and benefits, service contracts, police, fire services, and maintenance and supplies round out our other cash operating expenses. So in summary, after we add our non-operating revenues and expenses, which is mainly interest income and also interest expense, we get to a bottom line in addition to net position for us to continue paying off our debt and reducing that, as well as investing in port infrastructure, is $95 million, which again, margin is around 34%, and we are improving those margins year over year. Quick look at our revenues, expenses, and operating income over the last really 3 or 4 fiscal years here. And you can see just in fiscal year 24, which was just a couple of years ago, we were at $191 million operating revenue. We're already over $282 million we're proposing. You can see the operating income also with a significant increase from $72 million a few years ago up to $95 million, nearly $100 million that we're proposing. Quick look at some cruise forecast statistics. This sheet screams economic catalyst. We are an economic catalyst, economic engine for this region, for this state. Creating jobs, helping support businesses, and generating opportunities. Home port ships are up 23 from 20. Passenger movements up 10.9 from 9 million, and total ship calls up 1,213, up from 1,080 just this year. This shows the confidence the cruise industry has in Port Canaveral. You can see the different cruise lines and the number of calls. The blend of home port and ported calls actually is improving in 27, which benefits us financially. We've got more home ported ships and less ported calls because we need more. They want more home port ships here. You can see the 5-6 ship days here at the port increasing up to 130. Nearly 37% of the calendar days during fiscal year 27, we will have either 5 or 6 ships here at the port. You can see the cruise lines and the number of calls. Royal Caribbean is largest, a little bit over a quarter of our calls. You can see Carnival around a quarter, and Disney around 20% of our calls, followed by Norwegian, which is increasing their calls here at the port by more than twice. They are increasing calls from 76 up to 155. MSC also increasing calls. So we're excited about all our cruise lines increasing calls with us. Royal Caribbean, you can see the number of year-round and seasonal ships there. Utopia, Harmony, Star came here 1 year ago, the largest cruise ship in the world. Came right from the shipyard. You can see the other ships as well. These calls increased from 300 to 319 from 26 to next year. Carnival, 302 calls, increasing from last year as well. The main thing I wanted to point out here is Festival. You can see it under CT3. We're excited to welcome Festival here next May. It is the largest Carnival ship, largest of their Excel class, coming right from the shipyard in Germany. Brand new ship, the crown jewel of Carnival, and it's coming to Port Canaveral. So we're excited about that. Disney Cruise Line continues its Fantasy, Treasure, Wish, and Dream. Their calls are up from 26. And then NCL, big increase, over twice the increase from the 76 that they had in fiscal year 26. You can see the Escape, Getaway, Epic, Aqua, and Prima. MSC also up by 19 calls year over year, Seashore and Grandiosa. So our cruise passengers, taking a snapshot of what's happened over the last several years, fiscal year 23, we had 6.8 million passengers, and these are passenger movements, getting on a ship, off a ship. That's 2 movements, up to the 10.9 million that we're proposing in our budget, a 60% increase since fiscal year 23. Taking a quick look at cargo forecast, tonnage, we are proposing tonnage at 5.8 million tons, slightly below the 6.3 million that we had in fiscal year 26. Petroleum is still the leading commodity at over half, 53% of the tonnage that we bring in, followed by slag and lumber. Capital projects. This first slide talks about capital projects for fiscal year 27. It is $250 million. That is on top of nearly $250 million of capital projects that we're doing in 26. So in 26, 27, nearly $500 million of capital projects. Some of the projects, cruise actually makes up about $200 million, a little over $200 million of that. Some of the projects, CT10, renovations that we're soon to be undertaking next fiscal year. CT3, new garage, is another big capital project for us next year. The completion of the CT5 expansion and the parking garage up on the north side, and then also investments we're making in passenger boarding bridges. Cargo and other port infrastructure, $21 million. Road improvements for next year alone, $18 million. And then parks and recreation, Jetty Park upgrades, the RV upgrades that I mentioned, other Jetty Park investments, $7 million for next year. So this next slide talks about our 5-year capital project plan. And as I mentioned before, it is over $1 billion. Some of the key projects over the next 5 years, CT10 that I've mentioned before. We're going to be building, renovating, a new vision for the marina, as you are well aware. That's one of our large projects. The parking garage at CT3 that we need to accommodate the larger ships, the new ships like Festival coming in, Cruise Terminal 4 that will be starting here in the next couple of years. Road and infrastructure improvements, very significant investments in this area, along with passenger boarding bridges, and then investments in our cargo piers. One big investment is North Cargo Berths 1 and 2, which are our petroleum berths. We are excited to be renovating, modernizing those berths. It's a $39 million project. We actually have grant funding to cover 35 million of the 39 million. Pretty amazing. We've got around 20 million from a federal grant, and the balance, another 15 million or so from the state of Florida. So we're excited that the majority of that $39 million modernization to those two berths will be with grant dollars. So just recently, we had an update on our Fitch bond rating. Fitch is one of the largest 3 credit rating agencies, international rating agencies. Fitch, Moody's, and S&P. Fitch, for the last couple of months, they've been looking at our information, and each year or two, they basically will give us a credit rating. And these are very sophisticated financial analysts in New York and London that are calculating our numbers, looking at the cash we're generating, the investments we're making, a big emphasis on the investments we are making to sustain our growth. And based on this third-party independent review, I am happy to say that they have upgraded us from an A rating to an A+ rating. It's the first time in Port Canaveral's history that we have been elevated to an A+ credit rating. So we're very proud of that. The next couple of bullet points, I want to just use quotes that Fitch said in their press release concerning Port Canaveral. And by the way, this is our second straight year of getting upgraded. Some of the quotes that Fitch said, Port Canaveral has significant infrastructure investments that are underway to support long-term growth. Port Canaveral has strong operating performance and financial metrics. Lower level of debt relative to peer ports. That's probably my favorite one. We are very lowly leveraged compared to other ports, and that's something we can be proud of. This allows us, according to Fitch, to have great financial flexibility and capacity for future strategic investments. So again, this is not only a win for Port Canaveral, it's a win for our region, and it's a win for our state. Let me go over real quickly our current debt structure. We have $322 million of debt. That is made up of about $301 million of bonds and about $21 million of a line of credit. Just 5 years ago, our debt was $451 million. And what we have done over the last 5 years to decrease that by $130 million, which is a 30% decrease, is nothing short of remarkable. The way our current debt breaks out, again, bonds are about $301 million, made up of public revenue bonds, $133, and direct bank borrowings, $168 million. We have a current line of credit, $21 million, that we can borrow up to $50 million if we need to. Our annual debt service, so what we pay each year in principal and interest, is about $28 million. The majority of that goes to principal, and of course, a big chunk of that goes to interest. What's great about the interest is we have very low interest rates. We have some bonds that are under 2% interest rate. On average, it's about 3%. We've got some that are 3, some of the 4. Our highest is right at 5.0. So an average of 3% interest, which is fantastic. This last slide on debt shows over the next 20 years or so what our annual debt service would be in terms of what we would pay. You can see in fiscal year 27 for the next few years, our debt service is about 28 million, and then we get into the early 30s. It dips down as we are continuing to pay down the debt, and then it goes further down, and then in the mid 40s we are debt free. So that's our plan. I wanted to provide a snapshot because that ties into our capital, our 5-year capital plan, and the fact that we are not planning to have any new issuance of debt to support the $1 billion of investments we plan to make over the next several years is a testimony to this commission and to the port's financial success that benefits the community, benefits the state of Florida, and on and on. Last slide here, proposed tariff and foreign trade zone updates. Nothing major here. There are a couple of things I wanted to highlight. General increase of 3% applied across most rates on our tariff. A restructured dockage table. No increase applied to cargo wharfage. We did that last year. We do it every couple of years. Some minor language changes and rate changes, and very minor language revision to foreign trade zone. So as a reminder, you do not vote on anything today. This is just a presentation of our proposed budget. We will continue tweaking our budget over the next few weeks. We will come back to you at the September 23rd commission meeting with a final budget that we will ask for approval. Final operating budget, capital budget, 5-year plan, and tariff and FTZ minor changes. But today gave me an opportunity to tell you obviously review the proposed budget that we're putting in front of you. And again, it is not only a win for the port, but it is a win for the communities and families that benefit from the economic activity that we help create every day. Any questions?
I would say, Jeff, a very robust budget presentation, but on a robust economy that we have, and we appreciate the staff, you and the staff, in operating the port the way it is for us to be in such a sound, strong financial position. Very strong.
Well, thank you very much again. Thanks to the commission, thanks to Captain Murray, and the over 300 team members that we have, that each one of them plays a very important part to the success that we've achieved, and with the investments we are currently making for sustained growth in the future.
Jeff, well done. I'd like to, of particular interest to me, I'd like to thank you for pointing out the ongoing mindfulness that we have in maintaining prudent expense practices.
Yes.
And so thank you for that illustration. Also from the It's a Small World Society, I can't help but mention that thank you for also commending Shannon Feely for her efforts. The small world part being she was my legal assistant over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And she didn't know anything about the law, but she was very bright and ambitious, and obviously she remains productive in her capacity here at the port.
So you trained her well.
Thank you very much.
That's
You connected those dots, Chairman. But no, thanks very much. I appreciate that. And I know that's something that I think we're going to continue to remind the public of going forward in these meetings. Is sure, we're doing well financially, but it's not just because we're making money, but we're also prudent fiscally.
Right.
So thank you.
And we've gone a long way from, I think in the early 80s, when we were levying property tax to the property owners in the district to help operate the port. As I recall, we eliminated property tax in 85. I think that's about when it was.
Right.
And we've skyrocketed since then.
That's right.
And we started with one cruise ship, 600 passengers. We thought it was big, and now some of the larger ships are over 6,000 each one.
Yeah. It's
And
been a
all of them want to keep coming here to Port Canaveral.
It's been a remarkable story, and we're excited about the future as well.
Jeff, you mentioned the economic multipliers, and I think we had a discussion that there is a study ongoing right now, because that's important, I think, for community to see. We can say there's economic multiplier, but what does that really mean? And so isn't there something?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We are in the midst of having an economic impact study done, and we are very excited to reveal that in the coming months. So Diane Lunsman is leading that. And again, we have a significant multi-billion-dollar impact to this area, and we'll provide more details at a future commission meeting.
Awesome, thank you.
Can you go into a little bit how we work with the city of Cape Canaveral with the fire department and how that split actually happens?
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner. So we split 50-50 costs with the City of Cape Canaveral Fire Station here adjacent to the Maritime Center. They do calls in the City of Cape Canaveral. They also do calls here at the port. So we do support that fire station 50-50 with the city. So that's a perfect example of the partnership we have with the City of Cape Canaveral.
Have we analyzed that in recent years as to, I know we bought them a fire truck a couple years ago, so I don't know what the 50-50 exactly means, but it may be worth looking at what that split is as the port grows, and they're also growing. They've got hotels and things there. It may be worth looking at. It may need to be a 60-40 split. I'm probably not smart enough to figure out how you'd actually do that, analyze that, but it may be worth looking at this year in our budget.
Commissioner, could I just add, it is exactly 50-50. There's things like fireboats and all, those are all on us. So we actually do carry a higher burden. With the benefit the city gets is because of the type of equipment we need here at the port, they get the benefit of the newest and highest technology equipment probably than any other municipality in the area, just because we have, because of what we do, access to that sophisticated equipment. So, Jeff, anything else?
No, that's a great point, Captain Murray. The equipment, fire trucks, paramedic vehicles, those are investments we've made that the city, that we have paid for 100% that the city benefits off of. So again, this budget is a win not only for the port, but it's a win for the communities in our area.
Thank you, Jeff.
If I may, I'd like to recognize a number of people that helped with the budget process. So
Please.
I could literally name 150 people, but I would like to recognize some folks. So on the finance team, and when I call your name, if you wouldn't mind standing up, Elena Fernandez. She plays a very important role to the budget. Diana Mims-Reed as well. Diana, thank you for everything you do. Nick Hinton, he's a financial analyst. He's upstairs working as we speak. A lot of these people are upstairs working. Debbie Joyce, our director of capital grants. So she's here. Thank you, Debbie, for everything that you do. Julie Michael is upstairs working. Julie plays a big part in this, and want to make sure I'm not forgetting one on finance. I think I've got everybody. So Dave German's business development team, I mentioned, go ahead and stand up, Dave. Somebody on his team, Casey Akins. Casey's upstairs working as well, but Casey's part of that sophisticated forecasting model that we have that is very tight and gives us a great idea on a weekly basis what to expect. In conjunction with Casey, Aiden Polk is upstairs working, but Aiden is in Marlene Sanchez's group, if you want to stand up, Marlene. And they, again, are a critical player in that sophisticated forecasting model. Trying to think of other revenue. Samantha Cornelius plays a role. Our cargo, Samantha, I think you're somewhere in the back. So she works with our cargo partners on what to expect. So thank you, Samantha, for all your work. John Lynch, I don't think he's here, but John Lynch does all our ground transportation revenue projections. Mark Millicent, if you're in, can you stand? Mark manages all our leases, cargo and otherwise, and also manages the marina. So thank you, Mark, for everything you do. Of course, we couldn't do anything without Mr. Craig Langley. Craig, thank you for everything you do. Craig watches out for the port. He looks at every word of every contract that we bring to the commission. So thank you, Craig. You make a humongous impact. Bill Crow, obviously, engineering, construction, the capital plan. A lot of that centers around Bill and his team. Mark Titler, I believe, is upstairs working, but he plays a critical role in that as well. Let me think. I've got a couple more, so bear with me. Diane Lunsman, obviously, she's critically important to the port and helps us with our communication and government relations budget. So thank you for your role in the budget as well, Diane. Let's see, from a facility standpoint, I absolutely have to recognize Steve Shelton, our VP of Facilities Optimization, and Darlene Marana, who works with Steve. Steve, stand up. I know he doesn't like attention, but stand up, Steve, so everyone knows who you are. Peter Bergeron, obviously, is our point person for public safety and also our park services. Peter's around here somewhere. Peter, thank you for all you do. Go ahead and stand up. Lisa Mayer is director of JD Park Services, so she plays a very important role as well. Mark LaRusso is our VP of IT. I'm not sure if he's in this meeting, but obviously IT and our technology and data is very important to us as well. So that's just some of the people that help us with our budget, and again, I could go on and on. So thank you for allowing me to recognize some of our team members.
So you're really saying that all 343 employees at the port, you can have stand?
That's right.
Except 2 of them didn't stand this morning, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I was upstairs working.
All right, any other questions? All right.
We look forward to the presentation next month. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Captain John Murray's CEO report.
Good morning. I promise to be brief. Okay, jumping in, just update on our current activities for the last month. Through July 31st, we've had 927 cruise ship calls, 7.7 million multi-day passengers already to date. We have some seasonal ship changes, and I mentioned before the Harmony of the Seas was coming in and doing some different types of sailings. She's doing some 2-day sailings, and she's now on a 554 rotation. Yesterday, the ship was here on a Tuesday, and to the best of our knowledge, that's the first time, other than a holiday period, we move ships around to accommodate the holidays. This is the first home-ported ship on a Tuesday. So the Harmony was here yesterday. In fact, yesterday we had 2 Oasis-class ships here at the port at the same time. We also had the Oasis at Cruise Terminal 3 on its way to the Bahamas from New York. So 2 of the big ships at the same time is quite a day for a Tuesday. We have the Carnival Freedom left yesterday. She was a debark only, and she's gone off to dry dock. She returns at the end of October. And the Carnival Festival construction is on schedule for delivery. That ship will be debuting in May of 2027, and there's a photo of the ship that was taken just recently. On the cargo side, we've had 664 ship calls, including late berth, 5 million tons. Space component recoveries year to date, SpaceX is 56 boosters, 124 fairings, Blue Origin 2 boosters and 2 fairings. This is fiscal year to date, going back to October. We also have a new service that you might have seen the press release we put out on it. It's a container service from Mexico to the Northeast US, to Philadelphia basically. And we are a stop along the way. It's a container operation. It's calling at GT's facility Gulf container, and it's a bi-monthly, every 2 weeks, and if it continues to grow, it'll probably go to a weekly service. The first few ships have come in with about 100 containers for Port Canaveral, which are distributed throughout Florida. So it's a new service for us. It's a unique service in that it's a reasonably small ship, and it's not fighting with the competition that you'd have at some of the larger container ports. So it's a great niche service for us here at Port Canaveral. Park services, campground capacity 64%, vehicle count 392, all of our normal statistics. The events we had this year, July 11th, we had the Finn's Fishing Tournament, we had the Sid Mill Dinner on July 23rd. On July 28th, we had Instructors Cybersecurity Table Talk exercise. Instructors is one of our largest tenants here in the port, and they used our facilities for their exercise. And on August 4th, we had Employee Appreciation Family Fishing Event. And I think we survived that despite the weather. Community engagement, we had the fireworks before the fireworks on July 3rd. As well attended as in prior years, food trucks, giveaways, great feedback. Fireworks were exceptional this past year. We also had the annual Boys and Girls Club of Cocoa Tour on July 8th. We had 20 middle and high school students participated as part of their Workforce Wednesdays program, where students explore various career opportunities, and they visited Canaveral Fire Rescue, Blue Origins, Jacqueline, Coast Guard, Instructure Canaveral, and Canaveral Harbor Pilots. And then finally, we had the Customs and Border Protection Family Day event at Jetty Park on July 29th. The environmental update, we've received our Green Marine recertification on June 25th. That's the 10th consecutive year that we have earned that environmental recognition. We also had stormwater pollution prevention awareness campaign. We have drain markers installed throughout the port, 113 so far, approximately 87 more remaining. And then in 2026, International Coastal Cleanup was mentioned by KBB earlier. It's on September 19th at Jetty Park. We sponsored collaboration with KBB as part of Ocean Conservancy's international event. And that is my brief update today. Any questions?
I was just to say, John, when I first saw the partnership with that cargo, I went online to the monitor, the maritime monitor,
right,
that for the world, and sure enough, there it was, just departing Mexico. So
yeah,
it's kind of a
it's a service running from the east coast of Mexico to Philadelphia, and it's been operating for several months now, and then they've added Port Canaveral to the rotation. So they've got a South Atlantic port, North Atlantic port, and it's a lot of finished products coming from Mexico. It's not just what you might think of, fruits, vegetables, or anything like that. It's a pretty good service. It's a nice one to have, and we hope to grow it into a weekly service here at the port. Any other questions? Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh, that photo that was just up there, I can't go back to it, can I?
You can do whatever you want, sir.
Oh, look at that. Hey, this is the team I got here. I can do anything I want. Okay, this is first cargo ship working at our North Cargo Berth 4. As you recall, we've built that over the last couple of years, and we finally had a cargo vessel working alongside. It was a very large lumber ship, and we had some good videos first day for that operation. So just wanted to pass that along. Thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is considering approval of the financial memo for June and July 2026.
Great. Real quick, I forgot to recognize one other person, Andrew McElhaney. He's a new addition to the finance team. He's a senior manager. He just started a few weeks ago, and he helped us get the budget across the finish line. He's already making a positive impact, so thank you, Andrew. All right, so I'm going to provide a very brief update on our July results. Great news, we're favorable on our monthly revenue. I'll go into the detail in just a moment. We're unfavorable on our operating expenses. Some of that is timing, and the big reason is we added the marina operating expenses that we didn't budget, of course, for fiscal year 26. So still having a solid year. For the month of July, operating revenues $19.3 million. That is 9% above budget, driven by increased cruise activity and also the marina revenue that we brought in for the month. Operating expenses, $13.4 million, is several hundred thousand, about $400,000 ahead of budget. Most of that unfavorable variance is related to the marina, and also we're starting to see that timing catch up that I've mentioned, and we'll continue to see that over the next couple of months. We're still favorable year to date on expenses. The result for the month of July, operating income $6 million, which is 27% ahead of budget and also ahead of where we were last year. Looking at the 10 months through July, operating revenues at $208 million. We are 4% ahead of budget. Operating expenses, $130 million. We are 2% below budget. And then the result, operating income, $76.6 million, 17% above budget, and also above where we were this time last year for the first 10 months. You can see the breakout in our operating revenues, no change here, cruise, cargo, and other revenues. Our statistics for the month of July, we had, or moved, I should say, 710,000 cruise passengers. We had 79 calls. Cargo perspective, 481,000 tons for the month of July, and 73 calls. Taking a look at our year-to-date for the 10 months, we've moved 7.7 million passengers through the first 10 months, 928 calls. We've moved 5 million tons, very close to where we were this time last year from a tonnage perspective, and a number of cargo calls very similar to where we were last year as well at 664. You can see the number of ship calls by cruise line, Carnival, Royal, only one call separates them for the 10 months, followed by Disney, MSC, and Norwegian. And this is a month look at our cruise passenger movements. The blue line represents what we actually did in fiscal year 25. The dotted line is our budget for fiscal year 26. And then the green line represents what has actually happened for the first 10 months. So you can see we are very close to budget, a little ahead of budget. Keep in mind our budget for fiscal year 26, 9.0 million revenue passengers. We may get to 9.1. So we are on track for hitting our budget of 9.0 for sure. Cargo perspective, you can see the revenue of 20 million for the 10 months broken out between the fees, wharfage, dockage, etc., and then the rent. You can see the tons that we've moved, 5 million through the first 10 months, mainly fuel at over half, followed by slag and forest products. It's very close, mirroring our proposed budget that I just went over for fiscal year 27. Operating revenues were up about 600,000 over our budget. Part of that relates to the marina that we brought online. Leases are 3.9 million for the 10 months. Recreation, JD Park, 3.6, both over budget. So glad about that. Miscellaneous is 2.8 million, also slightly above budget. And then you can see about $354,000 of revenue that we recognized for the marina in the month of July. We, of course, did not have that budgeted as we brought forward that to July 1st just recently. Operating revenues, this is the detail. For the month of July, we were favorable 1.6 million, driven by increased cruise activity. Also, the marina, a new line item there, 354,000 of revenue. And you can see operating expenses, the detail. Just for the month of July, we were 343,000 above our monthly budget, but you can see marina makes up really the majority of that variance. For the 10 months, operating revenues are a healthy 208 million, which is 8.2 million ahead of budget, driven mainly by cruise activity, which offsets the little bit of a softening in cargo. And other areas are ahead of budget as well. Operating expenses for the 10 months, we are still favorable by $3.0 million or 2.2%. After consideration of non-operating revenues and expenses, our addition to net position for debt repayment, of course, I've mentioned the annual debt service that we have. That's what we use that for, that and continuing to invest in the infrastructure here at the port. Any questions? Okay.
Then, hearing no questions, I'll consider a motion to approve the financial memo for June and July. The statistic report, aging report, list of bills for June, July, and legal bills, Commissioner minor expenses for June and July.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. And those items are approved. Next. Capital projects update, Bill Crow.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you once again for the opportunity to give you a brief update on ongoing projects and future projects here at the Port. I'm going to highlight just a few on the consent agenda today, starting with item 1F. This is the Marina project. If you recall, during the last time we spoke, there was discussion about an interim temporary dry stack to fill the gap for Blue Points and Cape Marina. We have fully pivoted from that, and we are embracing the traditional master plan approach. So this agenda item 1F will authorize Moffitt & Nichol, the selected design firm, to complete a fully developed and vetted master plan. That process will include input from all key stakeholders internally and externally. As we get through that new Marina master plan project, we will be able to identify the permanent location of the future dry stack building. Once we reach that point, that future permanent, fully enclosed, weather-protected dry stack building will be constructed as a part of a phase 1 of the new Marina build project. So only once we reach that milestone where the new permanent, fully enclosed, dried-in facility is constructed will we commence with the transition of boats out of the Blue Point's current dry stack. Moving on, item 1G is Terminal 3 West Parking Garage. This is an overflow parking garage for Terminal 3. It is designed as a 2,200 space. We solicited an RFQ for design build services, RFP for design build services. We are seeking pre-construction authorization for the Ivy's Finfrock team, about $241,000. That would allow us to create temporary interim parking facilities for adjacent users. That would allow us to complete the full geotechnical analysis, which brings much needed definition to the foundations, the pile length, the tip elevation of those piles, which has a big effect on the total cost of the project. We'll also be fully investigating other value engineering efforts, such as instead of 6 elevators, do we need 5 or maybe 4 elevators? Is it 2,000 spaces or 2,200? So looking at all of those various cost options, and the plan is to come back to you at the September Commission meeting agenda with the full GMP price for that design build. Item 1H is an extension of the CT4 contract. There are 2 main components to this. One is the design criteria package for the new overpass that we've been discussing. That's the same overpass that will pass over the aquarium parking facility. And so our design team will be working closely in conjunction with the aquarium's design team to make sure that the parking lot is modified, stormwater implications are taken care of and coordinated between the 2 design teams. The other part is we're also looking at condensing the CT4 campus further to the west, maybe elevating the parking garage, giving it more floors to, again, densify that footprint of the CT4 campus. And I have just a brief rendering, conceptual rendering of that new overpass. This is not the same site plan rendering that Keith presented in his presentation. This is an older version, but it gives you an idea of where that overpass will come off the west of George King Boulevard and come over the 528 corridor. We have ended it at basically the right-of-way line with DOT because we are still in the process of defining, and that's what this agenda item will do, help us define exactly where that overpass will land, how it will work with Dave Nisbet Drive and also Mullet Road as well. The The interesting fact about this overpass is, as we've been discussing traffic implications with FDOT District 5 for many, many years, as we're well aware, they have their own project of the widening of 528. It's passed its PD&E a number of years back. It's currently at 60% design. It was an unfavorable approach for us to look at another tie-in to 528, another interchange in between George King Boulevard and State Road 401. It's just too tight of a space. So what this extension of the single point urban interchange at George King Boulevard and A1A does is it would allow us to go up and over the future planned widening and elevating of 528, which is a very favorable position for us with respect to FDOT permitting and the affected timeframes. Those are the three projects I wanted to highlight. Any questions about those three or any other ongoing items?
I was watching all the faces behind you when you showed them the road.
They've seen that one before. So our engineering team, Architectonica, which is the architect for CT4, and Kinley Horn, which is also at the back of the room, they are the civil roadway designer. They will be handling this design criteria package that is in support of a design build project that we will let upon completion of the permitting and the design of the DCP. So there'll be ongoing collaboration between our designers and the aquarium's designers to accommodate the roadway.
Good.
Well, I think it's worth saying too that we're all being very cognitive that this is going to help with the traffic situation as we grow a little bit. So we think this is going to basically split the south side of the port and all the traffic that's going in and out and be favorable to the neighboring communities.
Absolutely. Currently, that intersection at George King Boulevard and A1A is only operating at 50% of its intended design capacity. So by activating the west extension with the overpass, it is taking full advantage, 100% of that interchange's capacity. Will also allow additional ingress, egress, access to potentially the Cove area, the Marina District, in addition to Cruise Terminal 4. Thank you.
But the curve there, is there some limitation on how tight that curve can be?
So there are limitations. It could be made slightly more tight of a curve, a shorter radius, a smaller radius than what's shown here. It will be driven by a posted speed limit as well, which we anticipate that being about 35 miles per hour, which is commensurate with other collector roads around the port. And the fact is that the further east that we move, that if we were to shorten the radius of this curve and bring it over the further east, we bring that overpass, just the longer that overpass needs to be, because then we're spanning on and off ramps in addition to the main travel lanes of the 528 A1A roadway.
But it can be tighter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
So that concludes his remarks. Before we get into the consent agenda, there's one speaker card that's been presented. Rhett Fisher would like to talk about Rusty Seafood's new lease.
I was hoping I could pull up our financials from the restaurant. We can go over them with everybody.
Okay, well, we've got time.
Just kidding. Carol, good job. 3 minutes? I'll be done in 30 seconds. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak. Good morning, everybody. It's hard to believe that we first opened the doors at Rusty's 30 years ago. It was the building where the Miss Cape Canaveral used to be. I don't know if many people know that, but that was the first first charter boat out of Port Canaveral. My grandfather was here in the 40s with the scallop industry. So when we built that restaurant, that building, it was a shell of a building because we did not know how the restaurant was going to do. So in our defense, that's why we've had to work on that building so much through the years. But anyway, I just want to thank you on behalf of myself my dad, who's not here today, my brother, my sister-in-law, and our fearless leader over here, Dana Mrjenovic, who is our GM and has been there maybe longer than I have. But anyway, we really appreciate the fact that we can renew our lease. Hopefully that's going to happen. I do want to thank Mark Millicitz. He's been very diligent in helping us, and he's always answered the phone, answered the text message, the emails. So Mark and Craig, we appreciate you very much. The one thing I did want to bring up is our slips behind the restaurant. That's something we're a little concerned about. So if that's something you could discuss and think about, it kind of takes away from the integrity of the restaurant. With all due respect, we appreciate the lease and the new 10 years, but those slips, if that's something you could discuss, that would be great. People do enjoy looking at those boats coming in and out and seeing the fish and the customers that come and go. So anyway, if that's something you could think about, that would be great. But anyway, we appreciate everything that you've done, and we're happy to be here for another 10 years. It's going to be a challenge for us with the new lease and the cost in that, but we're very grateful because we are still here, and there's a lot of us that aren't. So we're very grateful to have that opportunity to be here for another 10 years, and we're excited with everything that's going to be going on in the port. So anyway, thank you all very much. We appreciate you.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. The consent agenda. Mr. Craig, I'll start with you. If you have any items to pull.
You know. I'm
Oh, okay.
None, thank you.
2C.
2C. Oh. I don't think I have a 2C. Okay. Okay.
I was gonna pull 1F, but I think Bill covered it really well, so thank you for covering that. So I have none.
Okay. And I have none. So then the chair will entertain a motion to approve consent items 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F, 1G, 1H, 1I, 2A, 2B, 3A, 4A, I think that's it. That's it.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Okay. Those items are approved. We'll go to consent item 2C.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I will be a nay vote on this item. And the reason is that, first of all, Motion Industries, I'm sure that we do a great job. Otherwise, Steve and his team wouldn't have wanted a contract with them. The problem I have with this is that this is the third time for 3 different projects that we have used the same piggyback contract, which is Sourcewell out of Minnesota and through Motion Industries, which is headquartered in Alabama. I don't mind occasionally using a piggyback contract, especially if it's something local, say it's like Sheriff Vehicles or something in the state and you can get a good deal, or if it's very a unique situation. But when you have 3 times when you're using the same piggyback contract for 3 different types of projects, I would prefer to see a competitive environment. And so to me, that's something that we should probably put out to bid, an RFP. So that's why I'll be a nay vote on this. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about Motion Industries. I'm sure they do a great job for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep going back to them. Now, in the future, if Motion Industries became part of, say, a continuing contract of some kind that they did bid for, that could be acceptable. But for me, I want to make sure that we have the competition and that we're able to maybe get possibly it could be better terms that we could get. So that's why I'll be a nay vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Chair then will entertain a motion to approve consent item 2C.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So it's 4-1. Passes. Thank you very much. That concludes the consent agenda. Public comment. Tracy Boer, sorry to pronounce it bad, down the Future Exploration Tower. Sorry for butchering your last name, but.
Tricia Boer. I co-founded a company called Institute for Space Tourism, and I hail from Port St. John.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Captain, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Port Canaveral is no longer simply one of America's premier seaports. It has become one of the nation's most important economic engines, where maritime commerce and commercial space increasingly intersect. The question before us is not whether the port is successful. It clearly is. The question is how we leverage that success to create even greater economic value for decades to come. The business news across Brevard County tells an extraordinary story. Billions of dollars are being invested in launch infrastructure, aerospace manufacturing, cruise facilities, hospitality, defense, and advanced technologies. Commercial space companies continue expanding their presence. New hotels are rising. The planned Bowen Aquarium and Conservation Center promises another major destination. Every month seems to bring another announcement of capital investment, workforce expansion, or technology development. This is not simply growth. It is the emergence of an entirely new regional economy, and the port sits at the center of that transformation. Nearly 10 million cruise passengers pass through Port Canaveral every year. Millions more visit Jetty Park, nearby beaches, KSC, Cocoa Beach, and our growing collection of attractions. Those visitors represent something every business seeks. Customers already standing at your front door. The challenge is that many leave without understanding what makes this region unique. They see cruise ships, they may see a rocket launch, but they often miss the larger story. That is where America's return to the moon is taking shape, where national security space operations protect our nation, where commercial launch companies are creating thousands of high-paying jobs, where advanced manufacturers are building the technologies of tomorrow, and where entirely new industries, including space manufacturing, orbital data centers, artificial intelligence infrastructure, autonomous systems, robotics, and space logistics are beginning to emerge. That story has economic value. Communities that successfully explain their innovation ecosystems attract investment. They attract entrepreneurs. They attract skilled workers. They attract conferences, conventions, university partnerships, venture capital, and families looking for more opportunity. Exploration Tower can become an economic development asset rather than simply a building. Imagine a visitor center that introduces guests to the entire Space Coast economy. Regional universities could showcase educational opportunities. Aerospace companies could rotate exhibits highlighting careers in technology. Marine industries, commercial fishing, environmental stewardship, Space Force heritage, and future Artemis missions could all become part of a coordinated story about why businesses choose to invest here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That ends the public comment. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Lloyd.
I just wanted to congratulate Commissioner Craig on her win.
Thank you.
And also thank everyone for supporting me in my other campaign for county commissioner. I'm very humbled by everyone's support and look forward to serving in the next role.
Fritz.
Nothing to add today, Mr. Chairman.
I have nothing in it to add either.
Commissioner Craig.
Nothing that, well, other than thank you for the support, and I'm excited to be here for the next 4 years.
Congratulate both of you on your winning. Just wanted to acknowledge Bobby Sachs and Commissioner Emeritus and former CEO Mac McLeod has come up with a an outline of ideas for Exploration Tower. And I will be sharing this information with Captain Murray and the staff, and we'll take that under advisement. Thank you very much. That concludes our meeting. Next meeting is Wednesday, September 23rd at 9 o'clock.